So ear infections, my favorite for an ear infection is what you do is you take a teaspoon and you fill it 70 to 75% full of olive oil. You put about equal to a half a capsule of golden seal, that in volume. And then you stir it. You want enough to work, but you don't want too much that it's pasty. And what you then do is you will, you'll put, if it's an infant, you put 2 drops. If it's a toddler or older, or a child or older, you'll put 3 drops. And that's, you know, and you rub it in like you would down in a dog's ear. You know how you rub something down in a dog's ear? I had a guy one time, he came in, and his ear was totally closed, that tight. You couldn't get nothing in there. And so every 2 hours, I put this on there. I stayed at work that night. It was an inpatient program. And every 2 hours, I'd put it there and rub it and massage it. And it took 3 days to open that back up, but it opened back up. And so what you do is you put that in the ear every 2 hours, but also, you know those things that guys use for hunting, those hot hands, and you pop it and put that on the ear, and that would heat, and then you put like a boggin on there, and every 2 hours you take that off, put 3 more drops in, rub it in there, put the hot hands on there and put that boggin back on to hold it. But normally an ear infection goes away pretty rapidly that way. It works good. You can also take things internally, like golden seal, take it internally also, echinacea, golden seal echinacea, so it systemically gets to it. Garlic oil you can put in the ear. You can also do an ear candle. Who's ever done ear candles? Sometimes that can be beneficial. Allicin, you can, colloidal silver you can put in the ear. Heat or a light bulb. You can take a light bulb and hold it off the ear, and that can be beneficial for an ear infection. Far infrared light is another excellent tool. I'm a huge supporter of far infrared light. You've got a spectrum, and over on this side of the spectrum is infrared, and you have near infrared, mid infrared, and far infrared. Far infrared you cannot see. It can be LED lights, and it also can be ceramic. So, according to NIH, ceramic you have more microcirculation, but still, even with LED, you still have good benefits. And what it does is it changes the water molecule in the blood to where you have better perfusion. And we're told perfect health is perfect circulation. And so you're increasing circulation with that far infrared light. Plus it gives heat also. Eye care. Now this is a cool one. Are you ready for this? This is really cool. I like cool stuff. So this is a study that was done in Germany. And I saw the pictures and the information on this case. Guy is totally, let me look at that eye. It was his right eye pupil was totally blown. Now it's not this man here, but his right eye pupil was totally blown and he was totally blind in this eye. So he goes to the hospital, so they do this in a hospital, and he goes in every day, 7 days a week. And he does this for 9 months. 9 months. At 3 months, he can start seeing a little. And what they did is they went and just put, they used a hypodermic, they used a syringe, they didn't use a hypodermic needle, they just used a syringe to get an exact measurement every time so they could document. You don't have to do that. But they just put you could take the blade of a butter knife and pour the honey in there. But they put the honey in his eye every single day. At 1 month, he starts having some light. At 6 months, he could fully see. Only optometrists could find a problem in the eye. The regular doctors could not see any problems at the hospital with the eye. He had full vision. At 9 months, the optometrist could not see anything wrong with the eye with their slit lamp. You know what a slit lamp is that the optometrist uses. Isn't that amazing? Just totally amazing what God has for us. It was just honey. It was back before they even knew about the benefits of Manuka honey. So a scratch, my favorite for a scratched eye is vitamin E oil. Your eye doctor probably, when he was in school, was taught that you could put a flaxseed in the eye when it is scratched. I've tried that. It's uncomfortable. So who's ever made egg replacer with putting flaxseed in water and getting that slimy stuff? You know what I'm talking about. So you can do that, and that will work even better than the flaxseed. You just take that slimy stuff and put in there if you don't have vitamin E. But vitamin E works the best of anything I found for a scratched eye. Just the vitamin E oil. You can either get the oil or you can get a vitamin E oil capsule, poke a hole in it and squeeze enough in it, and then you got plenty for a couple doses. You can do it multiple times a day. Infections. There's various causes: viruses, bacteria, funguses, allergies, other issues, contact lens, bacterial buildup, whatever. Treatments. You can use a charcoal poultice, a flaxseed poultice, golden seal wash, which is my favorite. And we were talking about this, I think, at breakfast this morning. For sinus, but you can do it for the eye. And what you do is you take not much. You only want about 1/16 of a teaspoon. That's very little golden seal. 1/16 of a teaspoon, put it in a little shot glass, and then pour in boiling water, 1 ounce. Leave it there for 30 minutes. And then you get a coffee filter. As we talked about this morning at breakfast, a coffee filter only is good for this process. And so you slowly pour it, because it doesn't wick as much as other material products like a paper towel. You lose too much product, it's going to wick it out and you won't have enough of the tea. And you slowly pour it in there, and then you're going to have a little, on this situation you won't have much golden seal to scrape off and use, but you'll have just your golden seal tea. And then you'll put the golden seal tea in the eye. You drop it in the eye, several droppers every 2 hours, and it will flat out kill an eye infection. It's my favorite. You can use colloidal silver. I also use colloidal silver. I have contacts to see far, and I use glasses to read close. And sometimes you just get infection because of contacts. And I'll just take the contact out and I'll just squirt my eye really good with colloidal silver, and it works very well for an eye infection if you don't have time to make the golden seal. Raw milk. Who has lived in other countries where the lady, and even this country in Appalachia, where the lady, as they're breastfeeding, they will squirt breast milk into the eye of the baby? It's something very common in Honduras and Africa and in different cultures. The Caribbean. It can be human milk, it can be cow's milk, it can be goat's milk. It's got to be raw milk, and you just squirt that in the eye. Boric acid, chamomile, honey. I've used honey in eye infections before, and it works very well. Jasmine flower and allicin. I have two friends. Both are optometrists. Both went to the same school. And you know, you're always interested in research and whatever, and one went to the other optometrist, says, "Here, I want you to use your slit lamp and pour in Alimed in my eye. See what happens." Well, he did. He poured Alimed in the guy's and the other optometrist's eye, and then he kept watching it with the slit lamp. No injury, totally fine. Pink eye. Who ever grew up with cows? Okay. What did you use for pink eye with your cows? Colloidal silver you put in the cows? Did anybody throw salt in their eyes? Salt. Yeah, you just catch your bossy not looking and throw salt in their eye. You know, don't do that to humans though. But that's what we used to do for cows. You just threw, if you got a cow with pink eye, you just threw salt in her eye. And I asked a vet not long ago, I said, people still do that? He goes, oh yeah. He says it's not the best thing for him, but it works. He'd rather use a medication. But saline solution will work. Charcoal poultice will work for pink eye. Again, raw milk, human cow or goat. The golden seal wash is my favorite still for pink eye. Colloidal silver, periwinkle, it has to be the white periwinkle. You can also do lemon in the morning and honey at night. That's also a way to get rid of cataracts. They use that in Asia for who knows how many years. A drop of lemon in the morning and a drop of honey at night, and it does get rid of cataracts. If you're wanting something that doesn't sting as bad, you can use a product, it's out of California. Dr. Babochet came up with it in N-acetylcarnosine, and you do 2 drops in the morning, 2 drops at night, and it actually works better on dogs than it does on humans, and veterinarians use it in dogs' eyes, but it was developed for humans. Yes? Lemon juice, yes, good point. Do not use lemon oil. Yes, good point. Yes, Barbara does use castor oil for cataracts. She does. Either directly in the eye or put it on top, and it will transdermally go through. But she put it in, yes, she does use that. Do you want me to tell you why Barbara teaches like she does and why I teach like I do? I figured it out. I was on, we didn't get to finish this story the other day. I was on an airplane, Mary Lou and I, and this lady from New York City. She was working on Wall Street, some highfalutin lady on Wall Street. And she was telling me what she does, and she says, what do you do? And I told her what I do, and she says, do you know Barbara O'Neill? I says, yeah, I've known her for a number of years. Why? She says, well, what you're saying, the foundation, is exactly what Barbara says in the foundation of what she says. I thought, that's interesting. And if you've ever listened to Barbara speak, now you've been listening to me speak, we speak totally different, totally different. But the foundation is very similar. And this past April, I had an opportunity to spend a week teaching with her in Kentucky. And I found out why that Wall Street lady identified that. Barbara and I both worked in healthcare. And Barbara and I both read this one book. She was in Australia. I was in North Carolina at the time. I had a friend who didn't just say, Walt, you're plumb crazy. What you're doing is not the way to go. A very kind man. He just said, Walt, would you preach some Sabbath? I'd never preached before. And I said, I don't know what to preach on. He says, listen, he hands me this book and says, read this book and preach on what's in that book. I read the book, I had the sermon, and then I started in my head doing comparative analysis of what was in that book and what I was doing at work. What was in that book, what I was doing at work. And Dad taught me when I was a little boy growing up. He said, he'd put me in bed every night. And he says, son, someday you're going to be a father and a husband. And I expect you to make enough money to put food on the table, a roof on the house. It's got to be legal. It's got to be ethical. I don't care if you dig ditches, but that's the criteria. So I came home to Mary Lou one day and I said, I don't care if I dig ditches. What I'm doing is legal, but it's not ethical. I'm not getting to root cause. I'm not addressing the issue. It's a game. And those of y'all who work in healthcare, you see what happens on the floor. But if you ever work up in administration, it is a game. And we compete against administrators who plays the best game and makes the most money. And I compared that book, and you're right, it was Ministry of Healing. And Barbara read it in Australia, I read it in North Carolina, Both of us left healthcare. She has her way of teaching, I have my way of teaching, but the foundation of what we teach is the ministry of healing. So if you ever want to figure out why she teaches what she teaches and I teach what I teach, read that book. It's a really good book. If you do, prevention, eye infections, hand washing. If you do have an eye infection, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And any of y'all that are nurses and do eye drops, you know how strict JCO is, or it used to be called JCO. Joint Commission is on eye drops and hand washing. Don't share bedding, towels, pillows, cosmetics, eyeliner, mascara, eyeshadow. Dispose of any contacts or eye makeup that may have been exposed to the infection. Do not wear contacts or eye makeup until the infection has cleared from the eye completely. Avoid swimming in chlorine when you have an eye infection. Pain. Dr. Batman-Jody says that dehydration magnifies pain. Dehydration magnifies pain. How much water do we need to drink? And we didn't go into that today because we didn't have time. University of California says it takes a half a gallon of water. University of California at Davis says it takes a half a gallon of water to run a 5-year-old up to 128 pounds. But that's to sit on the couch. That's to sit on the couch. If you're more active, you need more than that, a half a gallon. If you're over 128 pounds, it's body weight divided by 2, that many ounces. Body weight divided by 2, you need that many ounces to run the body, to sit on the couch. But what if you're more active? Like I'm a firefighter. And the state of Tennessee tells me I have to drink a gallon of water a day in case I have a house fire. So it's body weight divided by 2, that many ounces, sit on the couch. But if you're active, you need another pint to a quart or even more, depending on your activity. So if you're dehydrated, that magnifies pain. But it's not just how much water you drink. There was a guy, he was friends with Einstein, another physicist, PhD, another genius. And he found that when we drink more than 2 to 3 ounces of water at a given time, we go into free flow. If we drink more than 2 to 3 ounces of water at a given time, it goes into free flow. So if I take 8 ounces of water and I drink it, I'm only going to absorb 2 to 3 ounces. I can only count 2 to 3 ounces. I cannot count the 5 or 6 ounces that are going to free flow. I'm just going to urinate that off. And we proved that in school when we did labs. We drew labs on ourselves, multiple types of labs, but we did them 4 times a day, every day for 3 weeks, and we proved that philosophy. So what do you do? Excuse me. So what you do is he found that if you take a mouthful of water, like I keep trying to sip on this water here, you take a mouthful of water 4 times every half hour, except 15 minutes before you eat, while you eat, to an hour after you eat. 15 minutes before you eat, while you eat, to an hour after you eat. It's kind of like pouring a 5-gallon bucket of water on a tomato plant. It's going to run off, versus a drip line is going to soak in. And so if you're drinking more than that 2 to 3 ounces, you can't count that. But you need that amount of water, as we just said, body weight divided by 2, or more if you have extra expenditure. Dehydration can cause pain. Wild lettuce, California poppy, Jamaican dogwood, we talked about that earlier. There's a product by Terry Naturally, it's called Curcumin. It's guaranteed. If it doesn't work, you can take it back, they'll give you money back. It's curcumin, or it's called curcumin. Yeah, curcumin. It's curcumin, but it's called curcumin, and it's turmeric. Exercise is good for pain. Ice massage, hydrotherapy, and ice massage is a type of hydrotherapy y'all can do in a class sometime. White willow, bark, DMSO, cayenne, pine sap, those things can be used for pain. Angina. We have 3 types of muscles in the body. The heart is a different muscle of its own. And the heart, if it does not get adequate blood flow, it screams, it hollers. and it stops you from what you're doing that's making the problem. An example. Let's say we had that car out here this morning, that yellow car, that Hellcat, which has 1,500 horsepower. It has 2 fuel pumps. The fuel lines are 3/4 of an inch in diameter that Mr. Petty put on that. But what if his crew made a mistake and put Pinto fuel lines on it? It's going to maybe sit there and idle, but if you step on it, it will stall out. And that is what happens with angina. If you have atherosclerosis, clogged arteries, when you step on it with going up the flight of stairs, running, or being upset and stressed, it's going to increase the demand for blood flow, and if you don't have enough, the heart's going to scream and it's going to give you heart pain. So what do? Who's ever used, or maybe you know of nitroglycerin? Well, nitroglycerin, I have people who come in and buy cayenne pepper liquid and do it sublingual, and they tell me it works better than nitroglycerin. It's a vasodilator, works like nitroglycerin. Magnesium oil, you can rub that magnesium oil over the heart area, and it works very well for angina. But it also works for congestive heart failure or any heart condition. It transdermally gets to the muscle much faster when you use it transdermally. Arnica is also used for angina. Digestive problems. Do y'all have a guy like that around here? Well, he lives where I live. Food poisoning, activated charcoal, number 1. Stomach ache. You can use activated charcoal, peppermint tea, ginger root, aloe vera, lobelia. Lobelia, be careful with the lobelia. Lobelia is an antispasmodic, but it's a spasmodic if you take too much. So it's a great tool as an antispasmodic to calm that stomach down in a low dose. Too much, it's going to make you throw up, so be careful. And another one is something that grows in the Appalachian Mountains. We call it yaller root, like old yaller. It's yellow root, and you could use golden seal also, but yaller root is phenomenal also for stomach aches. You cannot buy it. You have to go pick it because you can buy it from the Cherokee, but that's about it. Irritable bowel syndrome, stop all dairy, caffeine, meat, all wheat, gluten, manage stress. You want to exercise, eat slowly. Eating slowly is really important for digestive issues. I remember Dr. Thrash teaching that over and over and over. Masticate, masticate, masticate. You want to chew it till it's baby food consistency for 2 reasons. You don't have teeth in your stomach, you're not a cow. The next one is you have to impregnate the food with saliva, amylase, protease, and lipase. And if you don't chew it thoroughly enough, whether it's food or juice, you even want to chew your juice because you want to impregnate it with that amylase, protease, and lipase. So the chewing process, you chew it like this if it's juice. Swallow it, then have your next one, chew it for about 10 chews. You have to have that saliva. You will miss 1/3 of your digestion in drinking juice if you do not, because that first part of the stomach is dependent on the saliva for the breakdown in that first process. You want to eat slowly. You want to masticate, but also eat slowly. Aloe vera, trace minerals, a colon formula we talked about before, which works really well for IBS, is the psyllium, slipperium, marshmallow root, peppermint, spearmint. Carob powder, again, thoroughly chew one's food. Ulcerative colitis. Follow IBS protocol. If bleeding, cayenne pepper, 2 caps, PRN as needed. White oak bark, if bleeding. And then the potato soup we talked about earlier, the potatoes, carrots, celery, and onions, up to 1 quart each meal. And then fruits and vegetables only cooked, no raw, after the 21 days of doing the vegetable soup. And Just water. Yeah, Mary Lou, you want to tell them how you make the potato soup? Yeah, how much water? Mm-hmm. It's amazing for whether you're dealing with gastritis, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, ulcers. It's just what God put in those 4 vegetables. Those phytochemicals are very good to heal the stomach and colon area. H. pylori, I use allicin and probiotics. It will get rid of H. pylori very effectively. And so many people come to me and they've taken, the antibiotics for it and it didn't work. And we'll use the allicin and it will take care of it. Constipation. Well, constipation, there's several important things about constipation. Number one, you got to have adequate water. If you're dehydrated, the hypothalamus in the brain goes, we don't have enough water. Where's there some more water? There's some in the colon. And yes, part of the responsibility of the colon is to absorb liquids. It will tell your body to absorb more liquid out of the colon than it's supposed to. And that then can cause the fecal material to dry up. I had this couple come in one time. I don't tell this very often. Couple comes in with their you can kind of get the idea kind of how I am. I like a little humor, and then also I just tell it to the point, So the mom and dad bring this little boy in. He's about 10 years old. They're desperate. He has constipation. He will not drink water. Please help us with our little boy. So I said, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk. So I explained this process to the little boy about when he's not drinking water, his brain is saying, where's some more water? There's some more in the feces. So I said, so I'm going, oh boy. And so I asked the mom, can I be graphic? She goes, sure. I said, okay. So I say to the little boy, I said, what if you poop in the toilet and then you take a straw and you drink that water? The mother goes, do you have some water I can drink? But that's what's happening. Yes, we're supposed to absorb some fluids out of the colon, but you're just sucking that feces dry. Don't do that. That's what happens when you're dehydrated. And what happens out there in the garden when you haven't had rain? The soil gets hard. The fecal material gets hard. It's got to have moisture. The second thing that you've got to have with constipation is you have to have fiber. Now, when we went to school, they told us you want 25 grams of fiber. Now it's not uncommon to see 40, 50, 60 grams of fiber that nutritionists are recommending to their patients. Where do we get fiber? Is there any fiber in meat? No. Is there any fiber in dairy? No. Is there fiber in processed food? If there is, it's very little. It's in your fruits, your vegetables, your nuts, your grains. And so we've got to eat adequate fiber. And that's very, very important. Lady comes in one day, very trim. I don't know how she was trim. I have no idea how she was trim. She says, I have not had a bowel movement in 3 months. No, correction, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I look at her belly, and it was flat. I mean, no distension at all. She was dressed like an executive secretary. And she says, give me something simple. I mean, she didn't want to do any of this other stuff. Just give me something I can take. I said, okay. I prayed, okay. She wasn't the praying type, so I just prayed, God, tell me what to help this lady. So I was impressed to give her some fiber. So I gave her some fiber, and she came back probably 2 weeks later, and she says, that stuff did not work. I need something else. Now, how often is this lady having a bowel movement? Every 3 weeks. And when she did, she had to take medication. She comes in and she says, this is not working. And I said, how many times, what's happening? She says, I'm going too often. I said, okay. Is it loose? No. How often are you going? 3 times a day. I said, how many meals do you eat? She says, 3. I said, that's perfect. That's what you're supposed to do, 1 for every meal. I said, what's the problem? She said, I don't have time for it. You figure this executive gal, she, secretary, she's spending out of a 3-week period, X amount of time for one bowel movement. Now you take that, 21 days times 3 times the amount. She's wasting a lot of time in her mind. She says, I need something else. And I said, ma'am, that's exactly the only way I can recommend. She left. I never saw her again. Fiber is critical. It worked. So let's say that you have a garden and you put in vermiculite. You put in, some type of humus, and it makes it where you can stick your hands down in that garden, and it works well. The same thing's true. The next item is you need exercise. And probably one of the best exercises I found is jumping on a mini trampoline. That bouncing, it works great to increase what's called peristalsis. Number 4, and I've had people who've come in that have adequate water, adequate fiber, adequate exercise, and they still have problems. So when they add this one, it starts working. Let's go back to when we were kids and you went to grandma's house. Breakfast, dinner, and supper were at the same time every day. Is that true here? And if you were there late, you didn't eat. You waited till the next meal came around. And if you tried in the meantime, she'd slap your hand and say, boy, you're going to spoil your meal. Remember that? Breakfast, dinner, supper, the same time every day. And when people go back to eating that way, the body starts working again with peristalsis, and they start having timely bowel movements. The last one, and I got all 5 of these from a guy called John Harvey Kellogg. Kellogg was a specialist in colon care. And Kellogg said, when you ignore the urge, your brain goes, that's not important. And it actually stops identifying it. And he says, the way you do it, he said, we should be as the natives. When you got to go, go. Excuse me, I got something I got to do, I'll be right back. And when you start doing that, it trains the brain that's important. We used to do that with ladies. We called it potty training. And for ladies that were starting to have problems with incontinence, you'd have the nurse take her into the bathroom, turn on the water, and then when she started the urge to urinate, the nurse would say, Miss Smith, do you feel that? Yeah. Well, go back home, every 2 hours, go in the bathroom, turn the water on, and every time you start to go, remember that feeling of what that is. Just like you do with a child. And you could literally help that lady with incontinence by doing this. It's the same thing with bowel issues. You're retraining the brain. Oh, yeah, that's important. Yes, there's things that you can do. You can do, Cascara sagrada. You can do, but my favorite, if people aren't willing to do this, my favorite is magnesium. Magnesium is a great tool to stimulate peristalsis. That's one of the things they use for colonoscopies is mag citrate. And so what you do is you go with magnesium up to bowel tolerance. And that means let's say you do 400 milligrams 3 times a day. That's not, you keep going, and finally you get a loose stool, then you back up to whatever it takes without having a loose stool to have bowel movements like you're supposed to. Abdominal massage, do you want what John Harvey Kellogg used for abdominal massage? This is cool. He used a cannonball from the Civil War, and he would wrap it with leather and tie it like a softball, and he would set it here, back down by where the bottom of the ascending is, down by where the appendix are, and he'd roll it here, roll it across, roll it down, pick it up, roll it like that, and that was a massage to stimulate peristalsis. There's different types of abdominal massages. Put a stool. Have you ever seen people put a stool at the toilet? And that can help. You know, they probably didn't have toilets in the Garden of Eden. And how many of y'all have been to other countries that just have a hole in the ground? I was in Rwanda, and I had an opportunity to meet the fire chief for the country. And I asked him, I said, he was showing me some of his trucks, and they have some nice trucks. And I said, what is your biggest call? Because I don't see wrecks and fires. He walks over and he points it to this little tripod thing. And I said, what's that for? He said, that's when people fall in the hole. And we then have to, because it's just a hole they have like concrete, and there's a hole there, and people just squat and they go to the bathroom. And people fall in the hole, and that's the #1 fire call for people in Kigali. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, what do they do? You know, do they get their phone and go, 911, wait, stop, wait. But how do they call for them? I don't know. I didn't do that. But we had enough language barrier as it was. But that squatting aspect stimulates peristalsis. I mean, you can have Asian folks go and squat, sit up on a toilet with their feet on the toilet and squat. Anybody know that? Yeah. And that process, so when you put a stool up in front of you, that can help with going to the bathroom. Magnesium, prune juice, herbs, senna, cascara sagrada, haritaki. Those are good. Probably senna is my favorite. There's a product out there that's called Nopalina. How do you spell that, Mary Lou? Nopalina? Nopalina. It works really good. It's got different fibers in it, and it's got senna. But my favorite is get to root cause. And if you can't, go to magnesium. Hemorrhoids. Oop, I've gone over. You want me to finish that one? Okay, we'll finish this one. Yeah, a good one to finish on, huh? So hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are usually a straining issue. It could be childbirth. It could be you're constipated. It could be you lifted something. It's usually a straining issue. Aloe vera, topically, you have external hemorrhoids, you have internal hemorrhoids. If it's an internal hemorrhoid, you can take a piece of aloe and carve it. And I don't know if we taught this when you came to the class we did down in Collegedale. Remember, we were making all kinds of little things. You take a piece of aloe and you carve it the size of a suppository. Remember where it's going, so don't carve it too big. And you carve it, and then you put it in the freezer to make it hard. And then at nighttime, because of gravity, do this at night, not during the daytime. It will fall out. So do it at night, and you put some type of a lubricant on it and insert it. And it will then dissolve and then treat that hemorrhoid over the night, that internal hemorrhoid. You can drink aloe juice, but that little suppository works well. Apple cider vinegar topically can work. A cabbage poultice. Had this guy fly in from England. Really bad external hemorrhoids. They couldn't fix him over there. He flew over to us, and we were doing various things. And we do a cabbage poultice at night to place on that and use some type of a sanitary napkin or something to hold it. Well, one night, I don't know where the staff member was, so he comes to my office about 9 o'clock, a little after, and he says, I can't find the staff member. Can you get me a cabbage leaf to make for my poultice? I said, sure. So I go upstairs to the dietary, and I was out of green cabbages. Don't do this, y'all. Do not do this. All we had was a red cabbage. So I beat it to where it bled, gave it to him. The next morning he reported, it stained his underwear, it stained the pajamas, it stained our sheets, it stained the blanket, it stained the carpet. When he got up and tried, it was terrible. It made a mess. Do not use the red cabbage. But green cabbage works quite well. You can also do hydrotherapy, and again to the douche that we talked about last night. And what you do is you get a person in a potty chair, and you take and that's the hydrotherapy, the hot and cold douche. And you lift out the seat in the potty chair and you turn it around where you're not looking at them. And you then get down, and then when they sit down, the hemorrhoid will kind of go down, protrude. And you start out with warm water, then cold water, don't turn it on full blast. But that hot and cold, vasodilation, vasoconstriction, it increases circulation, increases healing. Witch hazel's a good one, coconut oil's a good one, rutin squat, don't sit at the toilet. Let's see here, exercise and lose weight, that can help. Probiotics can be beneficial, water. Soak the area with warm water for 10 to 15 minutes, 3 times a day. Sitz baths are really good, and an ice cold pack or a cold compress. All right, so what questions do y'all have? Yes, ma'am. For what problem? Angina. I'd do a dropper. If you have a person having a heart attack, it's been reported to stop a heart attack. Yeah. And don't be concerned of doing, 2 to 3 dropperfuls under the tongue. Yes. Duke University in 1990 found if a person has an enlarged process, the first thing is stop all dairy. Dairy has a problem of increasing the inflammation in the prostate. Always remember that a PSA is not a diagnostic tool. It's a trending tool. And you will have people who have a high PSA, and they will tell them they have cancer just because it was a high PSA. That is not correct. I've had people in the 30s and not have cancer. I've had people with a PSA of 2 and have cancer. It's a trending tool to trend. Yes, you can use pumpkin seed oil. You can use, it's down in Florida. Help me out, Mary Lou. No, what we used to use. Pardon? Saw palmetto, thank you. Saw palmetto berries can be beneficial. But what I really find to work, that's what I used to use. And everybody's different. Again, it's not a cookie cutter. But I find that saw palmetto and pumpkin seeds don't work as well as Padiarco. Padiarco is phenomenal. It's P-A-U space D' space A-R-C-O, Padiarco. And Padiarco is an amazing, it's the bark of a tree down in South America, Central America. When I was in Honduras just a week ago, they were very familiar with Padiarco. I use it for cancer. I use it for blood purifier. It's an amazing. It's what I use for thrush is Padiarco. If it's an infant, I'll use calendula, but for thrush on the tongue, Padiarco will plumb get rid of it. But I use Padiarco, and I'll use black seed oil, B-L-A-C-K, black seed oil. Now, if you just can't get it to shrink, and again, Dr. Thrash taught me this, if there is not blood in the urine, if you do not have known cancer, you can milk the prostate. And the way you do that is you put on a glove and you go up about this far to this second digit right here. And if you take your hand and you push on your hand right here, that's what it should feel like. But if you take it like this, it's about the size of a walnut. And if it's harder like this right here, and you feel for that, and then you massage it, not front and backwards, but side to side from leg to leg. Do that 10 minutes, 4 times a day, and that milking process can be beneficial. And when she told me that, I then started teaching people, and people go, oh yeah, my granddaddy talked about that back years ago. And so it's an old thing that they used to do years ago. But that's, yes, Mary Lee. Oh yes, thank you. Far infrared light. I have a friend. Again, PSA is not a diagnostic tool, but I have a friend, Dr. George Kim. He had a guy come in, a PSA of 90-something. And in 2 weeks, the PSA dropped down to low 30s by using a far infrared light. Now, this isn't the sauna, it's the light. The light is a 700 watt bulb, where the sauna is 700, so that's 1,400 watts in the sauna. And so the light is like a rifle where we'll hit a certain area that we're attacking, and the sauna is systemic, where we're going after the whole body. And you place that under at the prostate area, about 11 inches off, is textbook, and you do that 20 minutes every day, and that is good to help shrink the prostate. Yes? Neuropathy. I used to use warming cool hydrotherapy. Magnesium oil is very good, but the best thing I have found, and it's guaranteed, it's by a company called Terry Naturally, and it's called Healthy Feet and Nerves. And I'm seeing probably over 90% of people who use that. You do 2 caps in the morning, 2 caps at night. It's just, it's like B vitamins and different things like that, and herbs. And you do 2 caps in the morning, 2 caps at night. It normally takes about, is that a fire call? It usually takes 4 to 5 days to work. The problem with it is it works well, and the guys think, oh, I don't have neuropathy anymore, and they quit taking it, and then it comes back, and now they're going to have to wait another 3 to 4 days after they start taking it again for it to get relief. Pardon? Yes, just stay on it. Mary Lou? Pardon? Oh, yes, thank you. Also, the mini trampoline can also be good, and the bouncing of the mini trampoline can, again, help to increase perfusion. Like inguinal hernia or something like that? Yeah. Yeah. There's different type of stretches and different things, but you usually have an issue where you have a tearing of where that's going through. It is best to have early on repair. Because no, don't do mesh. Find a doctor that will not do mesh. We went to school. Do you remember Bridges? Denzel, do you remember Robert Bridges? He was a couple years ahead of us at SMC. He's a surgeon in Greenville, Tennessee, and he will not do mesh. And I went to him. I had one. And I said, we called him Bridges. I said, Bridges, I'm not going to have any mesh because too many people have problems with mesh. He goes, if you wanted mesh, I wouldn't help you. He said, mesh is not good. He will not do mesh. But here's the problem. You can wait too long where the regular pair may not work, and they have to go to mesh. The other problem is they will tell you, do not lift anything over 5 pounds for, let's see, that gets my attention. And he said, do not do it for, I forgot how long it was. Do you remember, Mary, like 6 weeks or something like that? And his nurse says, remember, he's a firefighter. He goes, oh, I think it was like 3 months now. I couldn't lift anything over 5 pounds because he said, if you tear it open, I can't fix it probably. You're going to have to look at some mesh, and you don't want to go the mesh way, according to what I've seen and what Dr. Bridges has seen. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit more about Allison LeGrand capsule versus liquid?
Yes. The best Allison, the best stabilized Allison in the world that they have found is a company in England. It's called AliMed. AliMed. You can get it in liquid. You can get it in capsules. It takes 8 capsules to equal 1 teaspoon of liquid. The liquid is more economical than the capsules. The problem is we're having right now, problems. We cannot get any in on the East Coast. When tariffs came in, for some reason on the East Coast, U.S. Customs will charge us, but sends it back. The West Coast, we're seeing some coming in. And so we're looking at that. And we're having our congressmen and our senators working on that right now.
Can you take that daily?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. For dosing children. Again, it's not a cookie cutter. But the rule of thumb is the child's weight is the percentage of adult dose. So if the child weighs 25 pounds, it's 25% adult dose on herbal treatment. What to do for hypertension? You're saying regular hypertension? Are they on medications? Ooh. Yeah, and then I wouldn't take it. Yeah, I wouldn't take it then. Yeah, anything's going to cause you to be hypotensive, I wouldn't do it. Yes, I'm sorry, I wasn't understanding. Yes.
Do you have anything over the counter for cataracts?
Yes. We talked about the lemon juice and the honey, but the best thing is out of California by a company called Wise Choice Medicine, and it's called CAN, C-A-N-C, and you do 2 drops twice a day. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. It's going to be very similar, yes. The disadvantage of a trampoline is it doesn't have a bar. And if a person is unsteady, they might need the bar. I've got a little guy who came into me months ago, and literally he's in his mid-80s, and he was walking like this. I encouraged him to get on the mini trampoline and to do week 1, 5 minutes, 3 times a day. Week 2, 10 minutes, 3 times a day. Week 3, 15 minutes, 3 times a day. He was doing so well on that, he would go to his grandkids' house and then started jumping on the trampoline with them. He now walks upright and he walks with a normal gait. But I'd start first, depending on the acuity, with a bar that they can grab a hold of so they don't fall. But the big trampoline will do the same thing. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, thank you. We were supposed to talk about that. Parasites. My favorite parasite cleanse is black walnut, wormwood, and clove. Black walnut, wormwood, and clove. It works tremendously. It's a combination altogether as an extract. You do half a dropper full or half an ml twice a day. Over a 2-week period, you crescendo to 2 dropper fulls, and then over a 2-week period to 2 dropper fulls, and that's going to kill everything. Then you stop 1 week, and that allows the eggs to hatch. Then you repeat half ml twice a day, increase to 2 mLs twice a day over a 2-week period, and you're finished. You can use a binder, activated charcoal. You can use bentonite clay. Do not take it at the same time. I would take it, several hours apart, later on in the day, because I would be afraid it may absorb some of that because it's an extract. Yes. I have a good friend that uses Parasite cleanse is for cancer and having cancer going away. The best thing I have found for candida, candidiasis, that type of thing. Ooh, almost got y'all in trouble. I cannot talk about that. I talked about it at one church, and YouTube took them down. I'll talk to you later about that. Crazy, isn't it? Yes. You can ivermectin, you can go to allfamilypharmacy.com and they will give you a prescription. It's totally legal. It's out of Boca Raton, Florida, and it has the calculator there based on weight. The staff will tell you how much to take. And so yes, that's allfamilypharmacy.com. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. For trigger finger. Mary Lou had trigger finger back 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. And do y'all remember John McEnroe? Good tennis player, but had a bad mouth. I went to New York and took classes from his therapist for 3 days. Very good therapist. And he taught us on a trigger finger. Let's say it's this finger here. Right here can be pretty tight. And what he would do is either with your hand, he used an eraser, like the erasers that we used to have as kids, and he would just do this. I would put castor oil on it. Castor oil is really good for that. He didn't talk about that, but as of what I've learned now from castor oil, but I would put castor oil in it, and then I wouldn't do the two together. You're going to mess it. But you can do castor oil, and then you just rub it. And that's what Mary Lou did. Did you do anything else besides just? Did you take turmeric also? Okay, she may have taken turmeric also. But this right here breaks that down. Just like, have you ever had knots or whatever? And your therapist will massage and break it down and it actually will go away. The same thing's happening right here. You're just massaging that and breaking that down. Well, yes?
A little bit about pine sap. Is there a way to keep that shelf stable, or
Yes, pine sap has gone crazy expensive. I mean, astronomically expensive. I used to buy it by the gallon. But I sell it by little containers. So yes, you can go and collect it, but what they do is they take it and they will mix it with olive oil and stabilize it to where it doesn't get hard. One more question, and the bell rings. Yes? Generally speaking, yes. Dr. Harold Cherney at Eden Valley. Harold Cherney, I asked him that question. He's the one got me into jumping on a mini trampoline, and more so than what we were doing with our patients. And I asked him about knee patients and about hip patients. He recommended the bar and just doing the health bounce, like a baby just kind of bouncing in the crib. And he said they should be totally fine doing it. Now, if it causes pain, then I'd relook at it. But he said if it's not causing pain, they should be safe doing it.